Right. Good evening. Welcome to part two of Holmes. Um, Today we're going to be starting at Holmesburg Junction, get some photos there, and head back to North Philly. I did do a couple of additional photos offline. I had done some stuff out of order, and it was easier for me to deal with it yesterday. But normally it wouldn't have been an issue or anything really worth mentioning. But I did have one little thing that I saw here on the air dryer. There's this little cute little thing that I'd captured the builder's plate, and I was able to go and it was made by a company called AirTac in Worthington, PA. That unfortunately got bought out and they shut down the factory, and now the place that it is a mushroom growing facility. Just one of those little jobbers that I thought it was. That these couple of photos weren't going to have anything interesting, but that was one of those nice little things. I need to figure out how these air dryers work. Again, I think they're filled with some sort of rock, but I also don't know, like, it can't be a desiccant that just gets used up, because I know for sure that these are not things that they can deal with. Anyway, I've got everything set up here so we can begin. So, again, here we have coming off the Bustleton branch, the 5W signal, dwarf. There's a guy. He used to go by the. I used to know him as the Oaks Model Railroad guy. I didn't personally know him, but he was an early Web 1.0 rail fan, who was pretty ahead of the time in releasing multimedia, and had this little section they call like Rail Fan Photos of the Week, where he would have a bunch of little have a bunch of little things in the Philly area, and I'm sure that one of them he covered the Bustleton branch. So, but anything that he had done is now surely well out of date. I caught him once on the Route 15 opening day with like 5 video cameras out. That would have all been in like 2000. That would have been immediately pre-YouTube. It's sometimes hard to realize that there was a time when the web was still pretty involved, but YouTube wasn't a thing yet. I mean, YouTube came in 2005, and I started, but it was still a little bit of a toy, even when I started posting videos in '07. Everyone's digital cameras, iPhones didn't exist, and even then, you're recording stuff in 240p. It wasn't until at least 2009 when YouTube started to get what I can consider reliable. Well, reliable, I mean, is it became a reliable source of content, versus the alternative, which was mainly cable TV and or any kind of TV on in the background. So I was thinking somewhat, I was thinking recently of just how much more stuff, how much more stuff there is on YouTube. I remember when it was not that difficult to run out of YouTube content by 5 o'clock every day. You get home from work, watch a little YouTube, and then like you'd be out of new stuff pretty quick. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Oh, I need my book. There it is. It's going to be the 45 switch there. So again, nice picture of the signal bridge here. Holmes is that forgotten interlocking. A bunch of those interlockings between Trenton and Philly are kind of forgotten. Holmes and Grundy. Holmes being the only 4-track full crossover, but it's not even halfway. It's odd that it's not like I guess it's kind of halfway, but not really halfway between North Philly and Trenton. Here we have the two CP valve units for the 45 and the 34 switch. And then this is for the 33E catenary section. So again, these are what control the thing. So this is interesting right here. I'm going to zoom in on something. If you see, that has 110 on it. That probably indicates, so the PR didn't tend to put those cast numbers on them. So it's probably a replacement from somewhere else, and could have been Washington, D.C. I'm pretty sure that DC does use numbers like that, but I don't know why they would have given up some of its, because we have DC is still pneumatic to this day. And here we have the old 5-track. As far as I'm aware, this has been removed. And this switch here is an industrial switch, not related to Holmes interlocking or the Bustleton branch. And then here we have the same CP valve units. Inside, there's like 3 little weird cup and ball valvey things. I've seen pictures of them. I'm sure something to the they're probably still supported because they are used for subway. Rapid Transit still uses a whole bunch of them. There we go. Next one. And I walked all the way out to the 5E switch. This is no longer there since the 5-track was removed, and now it's effectively a glorified derail. So while the other one could display a slow clear, this can only display restricting and stop. So glad I got a picture of this, because it is no longer there. And there you have the opposite end of the 45 switch. Sorry. Again, I wish I knew which was A and which was B. I know I've not been out to this part of the interlocking in my 2 subsequent visits. Sorry, just dealing with this real quick. Just trimming it. There we go. And that's the 34 switch right there. So this is the crossover from track 4 to track 3 going the westbound direction. There you go. Next, we have that the 45 switch again. I would be doing more comprehensive versions of these switch photos when I was out on the PRR main line, with some of the interlockings having quite a few. But because those are out in the middle of nowhere and not in a city, I was able to go and get far more, and the trains were lower speed. I was able to go and get far more comprehensive photos on those. Also, if you want to know what's inside the cover, look at my blog. I recently covered what's under the cover. There you go, that's all good. And this is where apparently the D rail ran. Remember, this dwarf single governs that industrial track, not the main track. I'm trying to keep these under 600K, so every so often I have to trim a little bit. That's my new policy, to do trimming. Alright, here we go. And I believe that this is the 3 and 4. Ugh, sorry, signals. But I can check. Let me look at that gantry picture. Yep, there's the 3-pack. So I believe those are. Yep, 4W and 3W. All right, wow, is that 1 or 2 right there? That's just 1. Yeah, it's just 1. Cool. Any questions? it's just a thing that I've been trying to do for ages, back when people had dial-up to talk about those folks. Um, it's an arbitrary thing that keeps me honest. Most 1200 by whatever tends to be around that. Um, so it's just one of those things that I work to, and it's never been an issue for QC. Most of the time, I just clip out parts of the photo that really aren't necessary. I hope that's not a bot here in the chat, but whatever. As long as he's not trying to sell me some sort of, like, I don't know, TV dinner or Dollar Shave Club or socks or something. So here we have the 1W and 2W signals. I gotta be out somewhere in this area over Thanksgiving. I usually go somewhere out on the Wednesday before. Who knows? Like, forget about special service. Will Amtrak even be running, half of what they were running many years ago? And here we have the 45 switch. I really wish I never knew if this was A or B. And here we have just the A5 point machine. So that might be involved with what used to be the a wedge. If you have to, if these lose their air, they can become unreliable. So if there's a low air alarm, do I see what that says there? I think it just says 45. 45. I can't see an A or a B after that. And these are there are two kinds of pistons. This is the chonkier one. And of course the piston takes air in either direction. That air is administered from the CP valve, and air is the only thing needed to unlock and throw the switch. There's no logic in the switch that takes air and decides to act with it. It either sees air and moves, or it does not. Those could be sweat wedges, I'm not sure. Often they're painted yellow. You see an air switch with a yellow piece of wood near it, that's the wedge. As in the wedge as in spiking and wedging a switch for movement. And here we have the 4W signal insulated rail joints and the original or period correct impedance bonds. For those who don't know or haven't talked about before, impedance bonds allow traction current to pass through the joint without signal current. That is achieved by having either two AC track circuits of different frequencies, or a DC circuit and then an AC track circuit and a DC traction power circuit. In this case, The track circuit is at 96 point something hertz, and the traction frequency is at 25 hertz. And here we have the front of Holmes Tower with folks waiting for the next train. Now, we did not drive here. We did take the train, so we're waiting for the next headway back. Let's have a nice wider view of the signal bridge. Huh. So an interesting thing, I believe that, I'm guessing it must be Rule 261 on track number 1 west of here, because the signal can give a full clear. I know that it is not. It is 251 on the 2 outer tracks east of here. And then here we have our backlit 3 and 4 signals. You can just see that they're both clear. There it goes. Now you can see that they're clear. Despite being a little shabby and not LED, they are in very good condition. Oops, I got a couple of mixed up ones here. These two. Oh, I was looking at the wrong stuff. Hold on. There we go. Those are a little oversized. Okay, that works. Oops, that one's still there. So this is the 4W signal, just sort of an angle at it. I was doing a lot of photos of these under the Hoboken train shed. They were letting people sort of go out all the way out to the end of the shed, so I used that opportunity. Hoboken has some really interesting suspended, like, compact signals. So I got some really good photos of them. Here we have all the signals sort of the side below. Just got to rotate them a little bit. And directly below signal number 4. Yeah, it's a shame that this is when they could still get the that beautiful US&S position lights. The last project to get legit position lights, not on a sort of a one-off basis, was the Secaucus connection project of the late '90s. After that, I think the US&S stopped making the PRR style, its position light product, known for its reflectorized inside, which is very rare for a railway signal. Oh, there we go. That's the end of that's the end of number 2 there. That's strange. Huh. Usually I would pick one, but I guess maybe one of them will just have as an alternate. We'll see what to do with that. As you can see, this is going to get us all the way to North Philly, which by this point the tower had been closed and re-signaled. Alright, just do this one again. Do it again literally doing it again for the first time. There we go. I'll keep them both for now. I'll look at them later. Here we have the same one. Just again, another slight angle. It's right over the platform, so of course I took some time to again get some additional angles on it. Holmes is interesting. I'm just thinking this. It is an interlocking. It was a tower that did not have an associated substation. The nearest substation is about a mile or two away at Cornwallis Heights. We actually got a train going through. back when the hippos were running and pretty new. This looks like 668 here. Unfortunately, they were all kind of blurry, but yeah, whatever. That's the best I could do at the time. Yeah. And here we have 2036, a solid power car 2036, also at Holmes. Oh, there's the problem. All right, so here's our SEPTA train at North Philly. What did I use for those photos, for the train photos? Oh, I did do the same thing. Well, let me just... make sure I use the exact same text. Appears that I did. Great. Okay. Huh. Alright, that's not a very good name, so I gotta figure out something to do with that. So the new interlocking, unlike a lot of other ones, oh, sorry. North Philadelphia originally had Clearfield split off, and then it was just completely renamed into Lehigh. I don't think Amtrak really liked having... Apparently, I've been told that an interlocking that had two names would occasionally cause problems. So, there you go. This would be the 4... Here he is departing. Looks like we have another train over on the track number 4321, made up of Silverliner II. So I'm not sure I was aware of it until like this he pulled out. $374. I don't think that was the SEPTA train I'd had before that we got. It was $284 when he showed up at Holmesburg. Alright, that's a little bit better. Here we have North Philadelphia Tower plus Silverliner 4 number, Reading Silverliner 4 number 9004. Reading like numbering its MUs in the 9000 series. And these are the only ones that kept their original number. They did have the Silverliner 4 singles numbered in the 9000 series, and that lived on into the SEPTA era, but at a certain point, so the original Reading singles, because Reading Terminal did not have high-level platforms, the Reading singles, Silverliner 4 singles, did not have train line doors. So they couldn't just pull into a center suburban and open all the doors. At some point in the 80s, after the Center City connection, they got those doors and were renumbered. When SEPTA was doing that other thing with renumbering Silverliner 4s about the PCB thing. And then the other one was PRR car number 209. The PR got 2 orders of Silverliner 4s. So when they were in service, it looks like there's also 263 there. So I'm going to honor 263 by getting them in the crop. So the 2 banks of Philly Silverliner 2s, or of PRI Silverliner 2s, were split by the 4s. I mean the 3s. There are 23s that were built for the PRR for the Penn Central. I don't know again why there are 2 banks of 2s initially. This is your main gantry here at Lehigh. And here we have the Chestnut Hill West signal bridge. In its original heyday, this was what I would consider to be a super gantry or super signal bridge, covering. I'm sure I could find it for you. Hold on. That signal bridge covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mainline tracks and 2 more on the CHW. So that would have been a 10 track signal bridge. Although it did not have that many signals. It just spanned that many tracks. It's huge. But because this is Amtrak Lehigh, you can sort of wipe out that history. And here we have AEM7 number 926. Really leaning into. You can get these. The North Philadelphia station is super elevated in a way that really gives you these wonderful sort of leaning shots. Wait, hold on. Where is that? Cool. Last one of this set. So this was interesting. There was a part of North Philadelphia interlocking, North Philadelphia, the interlocking, it was on the Chestnut Hill West. It was a trailing point crossover and a pair of signals, dwarf mast, and they were controlled from a table interlocking machine. One of those little like, oh, we need an interlocking now. Let's kit bash one. You can probably think of what it is. Maybe if there's a, hold on. Somewhere I have my North American interlocking thing. Or not. Oops. There we go. Do we not have North Philadelphia? There it is. It's not visible here. This is the old interlocking machine from like 1912. Let's see if I have a better one. No, I don't. Anyway, it was in there. So this signal was the 50 of the 50L or whatever it was. And then when the tower was closed, they kept the signal, but they gave it an oddball number plate. So they kept it as, instead of being 50 as its lever number, it just became an automatic. It was plated for an automatic, even though the plate seemed to be suspiciously the same as its lever number. That's it for this small set, or entire set, or whatever. Oops. Okay, that looks good. Let's just double check this. Okay, and we're on the last set here. Let's see who we can talk to in the chat. Anyone there? Yeah, no, I doubt they're ever going to really do the constant tension in the area. It's too slow for it, and they're actually putting dynamic tension on the new Portal Bridge. All right, we are almost done here. So we got a picture of North Philadelphia Tower in 2008. Windows are still intact. Today it is fully boarded up. That's, at least it's not wood. I'd be much more worried if it were. I wonder how much of Q Tower. So Q Tower in Sunnyside closed like a year or two ago, and then it was turned into a the machine was the interlocking was redone, and then the position was eliminated and moved to the Penn Station Control Center. I haven't posted about that yet, but I will in a second. I mean, I will shortly. Gosh, I've got more time, and I'm doing even less the posting I need to get done. Anyway. I'm wondering to the extent that North Philadelphia was being, because they're very old pattern Model 14, pre-Model 14s, electro-pneumatic from US&S. And I'm wondering if they were getting parts. Although in theory, all the interlocking machines at Penn Station could have provided parts for Q. They've also, in theory, closed off. So they've been continually shortening these platforms. These platforms are made for long-distance trains. As you can see here in this one, you can go all the way down. Today, they've barricaded it off somewhere in there. I mean, quote-unquote, barricaded it. You can just sort of roll down. I mean, there's like a hole there in this instance. I know with like urban PDs on strike, I'm very, very unlikely to get into any sort of issue with just ignoring that. But if you hang out anywhere long enough, you're just asking for trouble. Interesting thing on these Lehigh signals, the 4W here does not have a medium speed indication. They kept the switch alignments. So here at Lehigh, that's Holmesburg Junction. So there's track 4. That there is a slow speed switch. However, this here is a medium speed. The reason track 3, yeah. So and here we have the 1W and 2W. These didn't necessarily exist under the old configuration due to the reverse direction nature, everything being in Rule 251 in the area. So everything, their placement on the gantry is new. The 1W has a full lower, but only a stop and proceed. That's because it has no facing point switches in its route. And then this guy has 1. So again, slow speed from track 4 to track 3. Medium speed, track 3 to track 2. Slow speed, track 2 to track 1. Don't ask me why. Something to do with the original alignment. It was all with double slips. But you can see 39 is low, 43 is slow and this 41. Probably because between 2 and 3, that was just a typical medium speed crossover. And the Amtrak station building. If you think that it looks actually fine. I forget when this actually closed. When the station, North Philly, for a year, it had a role in had this role as the premier. It was at the time it was a nice neighborhood. It had this role of being here for long distance trains that couldn't stop at 30th Street. And then, 70s and 80s happened. The area collapsed. They did build this 1980s station trying to make something of it because a bunch of Amtrak still did stop here. And I think that there might be still one train that stops here. But I don't know. They closed it at some point, and it's really looking derelict now. But it's built of pretty stern stuff, so it hasn't really collapsed. Here are milepost 85 from New York City. Okay, so now we take the Broad Street line all the way to Snyder. I don't have a photo of it. I've seen, I think, a photo of it somewhere. But until just around now, Snyder had a Model 14 machine. So the Broad Street subway had a bunch of interlockings that were done. As originally built, it had very few interlockings. It added, or whatever it was. It had a bunch added, but two of them, Snyder and Olney, stayed as Model 14s until fairly recently. Like, 2010. Snyder was the original terminal of the Broad Street line. You can see how it was even sort of arranged to have this track come in and then trains departing, turning. Two additional stations were added to extend the line to the sports complex in the 70s. You have a train arriving right there. Let's see where I should cut this. There's really nothing over there, so. I should go down there at some point, get some better photos. Yeah, I'm just going to cut this one. That's not necessary. And the 8R, this appears to be a dwarf, or it looks like a reverse direction dwarf. But I'm not sure. I got to get down there again. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Just about. Yeah, I guess I didn't hit that one before, so I'll just do this one up. Oops. I wonder if I should have done that one with the train. I'll look at it. Hold on. Alright, that works. Alright, now we're done. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you folks some other time. Maybe about 2 weeks from now I'll figure out. I have a couple of one-nighters I can do. So any questions? Let's check the chat for any questions. Alright, anyone, have a great night. I will, again, see you in about 2 weeks, hopefully. Or not, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Alright, great. Anyway, keep checking the channel. I got a whole bunch of videos coming up, and hopefully I can get my posts dealt with here. Alright, have a nice day.